Come on in. Class is about to start. Today is lesson 316 in A Course in Miracles. All gifts I give my brothers are my own. It's not like when you give a birthday present and you wish you could keep it for yourself. You get to keep it and you give it.
Mm-hmm. And giving it is how we know we have it. That's what he's saying to us, that we have all of these miracles within our own minds.
Yeah.
They're already there, they're already accomplished, and we won't know that until we give them away.
Yeah.
And as we give our holiness away, we begin to learn that we're holy.
Yeah.
We're not separated from our holiness.
Yeah.
So the giving of them, it's not that we're making up miracles. We're receiving. We already have the miracles.
Right.
But we won't know we have them until we give them.
Yeah.
And that's the key notion.
Yeah.
And there's a visualization I want you to take a look. If I can do that for a minute here with this.
Please do.
So kind of what this these two lessons, the lesson yesterday, all the gifts my brother give belong to me. So that's what that's saying, is that all the miracles that were ever performed in time, in space, millions of light years away, way back, all of those miracles belong to us.
And every loving thought is a miracle.
And every loving thought is a miracle.
Yeah.
But every miracle that's ever been performed in any place at any time, those are ours.
That's huge, isn't it?
So think about that. Long past in time, whatever loving act that somebody did for anyone, that belongs to us.
Do you know, as you're talking about, time and space and the vast way of looking at it, I thought about dinosaurs and about how we as humans and as egos, we just want to focus on the viciousness, like Tyrannosaurus Rex and what he did. And, it's
only when we're coming from the ego.
Yeah. But it's like a typical knee-jerk thing. I mean, you said vast distances and way back in time and all of that. And so where did my mind go? To, the red in tooth and claw kind of thing. It's like...
So let me finish the metaphor.
Okay. I need to be released from this.
Okay, but so the idea is that he's coming here. What he's trying to show us is practical oneness. Mm-hmm. So he's been establishing for a lot of lessons here that we are this one being that love created. Mm-hmm. Love created us like itself. So there's just one being. Uh-huh. We have a source.
Yeah.
And we're the effect of that source.
Yes.
So practical oneness, though, is this realization from these lessons that whatever love was offered anywhere, in any circumstance, is available to me. How and when? It's available to me right in this concrete situation where I'm upset.
Right.
So that's what he's saying, is that when we're upset, when we're afraid, when we're anxious, it's because there's something that we think that's taking away our peace.
Yeah.
There's something outside of us, or there's something in the body. And what these lessons are saying is, great, now you're upset. If you're willing to look at it, is very concrete. There's a specific event, circumstance, situation, or personality. So that's good news, because otherwise the fear and the anxiety, the anger is all kind of hidden, and it's operating without us seeing it. Mm-hmm. So we talked about this morning the process, the tools for us to uncover all this hidden stuff that's operating.
Right.
Because the Course is saying if you don't know this hidden emotions are operating, then you really can't make a conscious choice, a sane choice. Right. So what these two lessons are saying is that all the love that was ever performed anywhere is available to you now in this concrete situation.
Right.
So it's not like all these other people have succeeded in spiritual life and they've accomplished all these things, but I haven't accomplished. No, if they've accomplished love anywhere, that's yours.
So Jesus tells us that about himself.
Right.
And he's not the only one, but he is identified with the whole. So I mean, if we look at it from the point of view of fragmentation, and Jesus is one out of billions and billions, still he had all wisdom, all knowledge, all holiness, all of that, all godliness in his mind, and that's available to us now.
Yeah.
And if we look at it past the fragmentation, from the atonement, the at-one-ment, then we can see that, of course, whatever loving thoughts one had, I have.
Right.
And whatever loving thoughts I have, I'm giving into the one mind.
Right. Right. I mean, that's the idea of the incarnation. And in the West, Jesus is, he's an incarnation. But there's Buddha, there's Krishna, there's Rama, all of these incarnations.
Mm-hmm.
What they did was live all of life in one life. They accomplished everything that's ever going to be a possible and phenomenal existence.
Right.
They went through all of those.
Right.
And succeeded in healing all of them. So when they come as a model, they're very personal and intimate with you. I mean, whatever your guides are, they're very personal and intimate. And all that they're saying is, I can share with you this love.
Yeah.
I can share with you this love that's always been there and been practicing. But you just need to bring this specific situation up. I mean, think how practical then, instead of some abstraction about the oneness or, it's just one reality, think how practical it is. If there's oneness, then I have all that love available to me.
Right.
And that's what he's training us to do, especially in these two lessons, like the ones yesterday. All gifts my brothers give belong to me. So in yesterday's, and we were going to look at more than just today's. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So in yesterday's lesson, it said, each day 1,000 treasures come to me with every passing moment. I'm in touch with that oneness. I'm in touch with however salvation or forgiveness or love was healing.
Right.
That's coming to me every moment.
Right.
Every moment. Because it's already been done. It's already been accomplished. So each day and every moment, I'm blessed with gifts throughout the day in value far beyond all things of which I can conceive. Right? So this whole idea of the oneness and, everything in time that ever happened is ours can seem abstract, but he's saying it's practical in that moment. Right? That's what yesterday's was. So he's talking about very specific things in these thousands of treasures that come to you. He says, a brother smiles upon another, and my heart is gladdened.
If we're open to that oneness of love, if we're open to that, then when we see someone loving another, we can feel that love.
Yeah. If
we're focused on our grievances, they might as well be dead because we just do not connect with it.
Right.
So the whole key is giving up our grievances, isn't it?
Right. But it's also giving up this idea that I'm alone. I'm the only one who's experiencing it. It's just happening to me.
Yeah.
It's not happening. It's just poor me. It's just me.
Yeah, right.
You're just focused on yourself.
Right.
And this is getting us to open our minds to say, this love is being practiced by everybody, everywhere, in all time, and it's available to you now. So what that does is it makes us expand out of our particular time. Like I was born close to 70 years ago. I have certain experiences. But what's available to me is the experiences from all time.
Eternal.
So immediately what I'm doing is I'm expanding this little world of mine into the real world.
Into the real world. So
into the real self.
Yeah.
And very pragmatically. So he says, someone speaks a word of gratitude or mercy, and my mind receives this gift and takes it as his own. So it's worth pausing here.
Okay.
To see what that really is saying when we're upset. Because when we get upset and we're, like you say, we're in our grievances, when our ego, the mind is closed in on itself.
Yeah.
It's not expansive at
right.
that moment here. And then the ego will, use logic and go, well, you haven't had that experience. Your experience is very different. Like
I would never do a thing like that.
right. So you're just in this singular focused on yourself rather than saying, I'm part of this whole oneness.
That is to me, that's the key.
It's like, it's a very pragmatic example is, the friends that we choose are people that we resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
They're friends that share our values.
Mm-hmm.
And we understand very pragmatically. We see their lives, we see our lives, we see how they learn,
Mm-hmm.
and then we think we can learn because we see how they're succeeding
Mm-hmm.
in devotion. And that's what he said in 15. When you see somebody succeed in spiritual life,
Yeah.
you don't think your chances are less, you
Right.
think your chances are greater.
Right, sure.
So what these two lessons are going, okay, get with that. All the people that surround you, you can learn from them. But this is saying all the people in all time, in all places, whatever they did to heal, that's yours.
Right.
That's yours.
Because we're not these small selves that we think we are.
That's right.
We are part of the mind of God, as is everybody and everything. So, of course, if we go to the truth of who we are, the one self, the one Son of God, there, everything is one and shared.
Right.
It just has an expression. Here, it looks like that. In another person, it looks like this. For each person, there are different gifts and different parts of the plan to fulfill. But really, if we let go of that sense of myself ends with my skin.
I, me, mine.
Yeah.
I, me, mine.
Yeah. If we let go of I, me, mine, we can feel the oneness and therefore feel the love, because in the oneness there's only love.
Right.
There's no fear, there's no hatred. The one self is love.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was, the lesson yesterday, or a couple days ago, was I seek a future different than the past. I think we talked about that the other day. But in that, he's saying, if you want to train your mind, use time differently.
Yeah.
See how you're avoiding the present
Mm-hmm.
by thinking in past terms and trying to make the past be the future again.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that you can use the present moment for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to look to if you look to the past and it's loving, you can use that.
Uh-huh.
But change how you're using time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing it says is drop these idols and images of yourself
Mm-hmm.
because it's just made up.
Oh man, and the idols and images are my self-concept.
Yeah.
I think I'm a woman. I think I was born in 1946. I think that, I own a white couch. Well, baloney, that is nothing. That is like all physical stuff that our mind makes up, and our brain will agree with it.
Yeah.
But, our brain can be put in the service of the one mind.
Right. And that's really what learning is. I mean, Jesus clearly says in the Course, there's things you can't understand on your own.
Right. Didn't he even say that today?
Maybe.
I don't know.
But it's this point. It's just like coming to Edenshire here or any spiritual group that you have. You're accessing their learning. Others are modeling for you.
Oh, that's a really great idea. That means these folks that are here are actually giving to us the gifts of love,
right,
as well as we're giving to you.
Right.
That's a wonderful thought.
So what these two lessons today is all the gifts that were ever given are mine, belong to me.
Uh-huh.
It's not letting us stop with just our time experiences and times. It's saying there's this whole other learning that's available to you in every moment.
Yeah. So we also talked a lot this morning when we were preparing this about the treasures and the treasure house. So I see that in yesterday's lesson, he talks about treasures. First line, each day 1,000 treasures come to me in every passing moment. Am I paying attention to that, or am I paying attention to my grievances?
And what are treasures from this little standpoint? Gold and incense and all the resources and all that. And it's not that they're not treasured. But he's talking about something much greater
Oh, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
treasures.
Yeah. So I found in chapter 28, section 3, some talk about treasures.
Yeah.
This is the little part that I was looking for. How people who make the physical world the world,
Mm-hmm.
the only world they know about,
Mm-hmm.
they mistake gold for the shining of a pebble. They mistake for gold the shining of a pebble, and they store a heap of snow that shines like silver.
Yeah.
And it's like, those things are going to pass away. Like in the Bible, it says, don't lay up treasures that are going to pass away. Like
Yeah.
they'll rust and moths will eat stuff. And yeah, your cashmere sweater is not the treasure you're looking for. It's really miracles. And what was the other thing it said? Healing, I think. And you know, there are a number of ways of saying these different things. But let me look at what it's saying. Oh, here it is. Count then the silver miracles and golden dreams of happiness.
Yeah.
That's our treasure.
Yeah.
Miracles and happiness, or dreams of happiness. Because here we're still dreaming.
Yeah.
In whether we're dreaming a nightmare with our grievances or dreaming a happy dream and the real world with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Either way, it's still a dream, so we can talk about the dreams of happiness, because it's only a shadow of the happiness that God has in mind for us. Still, good enough. Good enough. I'd like to be joyful all the time, right here. That's fine.
So when Jan and I met, we met in 2000, and we came to Sedona for a 1-year program of studying the course.
Yeah.
And there was about 18 of us.
Uh-huh.
It was a very intimate group. Some of us lived together, but we spent 5 days a week studying the workbook in the morning and studying the text at night.
And then doing our homework, so to speak, in the middle.
Okay, I think we're back. Thank you for that intermission. We went and got popcorn. We're all good.
I'm not sure you meant for that to be heard by everyone, and we'll certainly take it out of our recording.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, good. So we were in the middle of the practical oneness about these lessons.
Okay.
And the idea of the treasure house.
Oh, yeah, the treasure house.
And you want to mute that? And he's talking about them as literal treasures.
Yes.
Right? You can't serve God and mammon.
Right.
You got to choose between spirit and flesh.
Yeah.
And it's not that these little, like the cashmere sweater, okay, that's good.
It's fine. It's just
fine.
Not our treasure.
It's not a permanent treasure. It's the distinction, because what he's trying to bring into us is that eternity is not obscure. It's very practical. Because if you think in terms of eternity, you're realizing that all the love that was ever given is available to you, not just to special people and somebody.
Yeah.
So it's just like we're learning from Michael, we're learning from this whole group.
Right.
What we were talking about was when Jan and I met in 2000, we did this year we gave to God.
Yeah.
And
so start over with that little
talk. We would just 5 days a week, we'd study the workbook in the morning and the text at night. And then during the day, we'd hike together, live together, do things, all the challenges of beginning new relationships. But at the end of that year, we were asking, like, what did you get out of this? And one of the people that we studied with is, her nickname was Blondie.
Right? We love her.
And she was this beautiful, beautiful person inside and out. And she was really wise. But sometimes people would look on her as like the bimbo, the blonde who's not sensical. But she was never that way at all. And so at the end of the year, when we asked, what did you learn from here? And she just broke the course down to 2 things. I learned that if I'm upset, I can change my mind. And I can do it right in this very moment. And then I can be happy for no reason.
And she's become famous for that second one.
Right.
Yeah.
So that happy for no reason means my happiness has no conditions. It's unconditional.
Yeah.
Happy for no reason.
Yeah.
And that's what he's trying to get us. So
Yeah.
when we get locked into our little ego body
Yeah.
timeline of world, we feel constricted by that. These lessons are trying to tell us
Right.
that love has been expressed forever
Right.
and all of it's available to you,
Right.
right?
Right now. Yep.
So it helps us to transcend our little timeline.
Yeah.
It helps us transcend our past. You know, you and I know you want to do that one, but you and I talk a lot about this as that, you know, we had certain histories of being a spouse, of being a business person.
Yeah, we've both been married a few times before
right,
this.
and
Yeah.
both had sexual history. All that past, now that we're course students, we're not trying to fix that past anymore.
Yeah. It does come up, you know, it's like it comes up like a sucker punch to me.
Yeah.
At night.
Yeah, me too.
Is that mostly what it's like the past, like, oh, I forgot the one that hit me last night, but it was like, you know, some little weird thing that I did 20, 30 years ago. It's like the middle of the night, it's like, oh my God. You know, it's like ego will get you when it can. So sometimes it gets us interpersonally and other times with memories, and we still have to say, no, that's not what's happening now.
Right.
Right now, I am innocent.
Right.
Always have been.
But now I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about that this morning, about what the course is training us to do is to develop tools
Yes.
and processes
Yes.
to see these hidden distractors.
Yes, that's
that are-
what they are. That's all they are.
They're a hidden sentinel, is what it calls.
Sentinel.
Sentinel that keeps the guilt going. And what the course is saying, if you're not aware of these hidden attractions to guilt or hidden attractions to fear, hidden attraction to anger, then you really can't make conscious choices here.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really, because you're coming from this hidden fear, you're coming from this hidden shame.
Mm-hmm.
So the course's training is to train your mind to see these hidden warriors.
Right.
To see, oh, I'm coming from, that's what my mom told me. My mom told me that back then. Or my old friend told me that back then. I'm still living with that.
Yeah.
I'm still coming from that, but I'm not aware of it.
And as soon as we become aware of it, we can give it to Holy Spirit. We can say, I don't like this. I don't like how I feel. Take this from me. Give me another perception. I could see peace instead of this, or use, you know, many, many different course lesson titles to free us from that old painful thought. That the older they are, the more foundational they are for other thoughts, other experiences, other memories. When we can remember an old one, we're getting down to a root.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful because we can give it to Holy Spirit and say, this is not how God thinks about me. Tell me about God's love for me.
Right.
And then as we clear out that old stuff, we become instruments for the atonement.
Right.
We can't be helpful. We can't be miracle workers while we're still carrying around our big sack of crap.
Right.
You know?
And we've been looking at, like, right from the beginning of the text, he's saying you have to understand your fear of healing.
Yeah.
You have to understand your fear of release, because and the reason is there's this hidden attraction to guilt for one thing.
Yeah.
And we don't see that we're trying to compare ourselves. We're trying to get our innocence by making something else responsible for us.
Yeah.
Or our own timeline. And that's what these lessons are going. You have more than just your own timeline.
Uh-huh.
Right? And
more available to us for healing.
from all time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, he's saying you, for the ability to make a conscious choice for love, for miracles, and forgiveness, you have to develop these tools, these processes that will show you these hidden warriors that are protecting the guilt, protecting the fear, protecting the anger.
Right.
And it's at every moment.
Every moment
We're choosing between.
Oh, yeah.
choosing, am I listening to the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
story? Am I listening to the egos? And how do I know? It's how I feel,
Right.
right?
I had an experience recently where um, it was a course student who was saying things like um, the ego is always going to be, um, punching me in the gut. The ego is powerful and strong and like that. And the picture I got from listening to him was that it was like God and the devil, God and the devil, God and the devil. And it's always going to be that way. Now, that is not the Course's picture. What the Course is telling us is that these punches of ego are dreams. They're thoughts that we can choose to believe in and go live in that dream, or we can say, that's just a dream that I don't want. That's a dream I can give to the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, give me a dream that's a happy one. The ego the ego will always be, like a little devil sitting on your shoulder, tempting you, always trying. It's kind of our default program when we bought into the body. But you don't have to listen to it. Just listen to this little angel sitting on your shoulder.
And by the way, that's really the only thing that's there.
That's the only real
the
thing.
correction, because
Yeah.
the Course is really clear that this sense of separating from love and the healing of that very thought happened outside of time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this idea that, it has to be healed now.
Yeah.
I have the ability to access healing. Because guilt and those kinds of things are like one little thought builds to another one, and it builds and it reinforces itself. So here's what the Course is, because we were talking about the fear of being a healer, the fear of miracles, the fear of forgiveness. So kind of what we talked about recently was, you come to this conclusion, your guidance is this relationship is dysfunctional, whatever it is. You're looking at your friendships or a partner, whatever. You realize it's dysfunctional. That's what your guidance is telling you. You realize that it's best probably for you to leave that situation, because there's no learning going to happen.
Exactly.
There's no learning for you or them. It's a dead end. Holy Spirit's saying, here's your guidance, leave it. But then what comes up is, so you think I have to leave a friend or a partner, then the fear of loneliness comes up.
Yeah.
And we go, wait a minute, well, maybe I have to give this up. But then I'm going to be all alone. I'm going to be lonely.
And who's gonna shovel the driveway, or whatever practical
role we've
to
the other people to take it. But that's when the resistance comes up.
Yeah.
Is that we go, oh yeah, I should really leave this situation. But then, or if it's a job situation, but then what am I going to do about money?
Yeah.
And this is where the training has to come up.
Right.
Where he's gently, day to day, in very little circumstances, begins to work with little things with us. Like, I used to be, I was a New Age sensitive guy, right? So, I'd be gentle and kind. But when telemarketers would call me up, I'd read them the riot act. Why was I doing that? Because I thought I could get away with it.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking, so I'm going to slam these telemarketers. So what he's saying is, take those situations in your life, like you may have a certain attitude towards storekeepers or a certain attitude towards service people. Whatever you're willing to bring up, which you're willing to risk, another way to solve it. Start working with those things. Start working with those little traits of yourself, a little bit where you can trust and have faith.
You know where I learned a lot was a person whose name is Mary, who was just the most loving person to everybody. She made friends with total strangers. And I had been in the habit, like from the way I was raised or the way the world was or whatever, of, like, it's just a person at the checkout. It's just a function. I'm paying attention to their function, not to the heart, the being. But Mary, I hung out with her for a while when she lived at Course Community House, and it was like, she would just like open her heart to every person she met. And that really was a great model for me. It was like, really? There's all this richness available to me? So as I saw her giving her smiles and her good wishes and, how's your son kind of stuff to people that she met, people that she talked to, I recognized that Mary was becoming enriched by this giving. I said, I want that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. Why go through life gray when you can have color?
Do you remember when we went, if you go to Hawaii, there's a theme in that culture that's talk and story.
Yeah.
Remember that
Yeah.
talk and story? And it's clearly understood that if you're in that culture, if you're in a store and you're waiting in line, if the checkout person is got a friend there and they're talking and they're what happened last Wednesday, it's clearly understood that you need to be patient and let them talk story.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You don't interfere that, because talking story is the most important thing we can do.
That's so
rather
cool,
than
yeah.
looking at the clerk and say, your job is to serve me no matter,
Yeah, right.
like, your job is to be how I can exploit you.
Right.
Right? How I can use you to meet my personal needs. And this idea of talk and story was, just like you said, relate to that person.
Right.
Relate to the being of who that is.
It goes like this. This is the Hawaiian, I hope I got it right. The Hawaiian, it's like aloha. It's like good vibes.
Yeah.
And here's the story behind that one. This is a little bit of an aside.
Yeah.
There was a sugar plantation, and one of the workers had his fingers cut off, and they made him the guard. So when the boys wanted to come and swim in the pond at the sugar plantation at night, and if they saw the guard, they would do that. And and so that became like a good vibe feeling.
Yeah.
So
Well, we have all those little gestures.
that's
right?
right. I'm not sure I got them all. And sometimes cross-culturally it can be like what we think is a really, really cool thing. It can be a real insult in another culture. So we better be careful.
We talked about that this morning too in that lesson. If I defend myself, I'm attacked.
Yeah.
Like it said, rather than planning,
Yeah.
like you're planning based upon whatever illusionary needs you may have or real ones, or whatever, rather than planning,
Yeah.
stop your plan and just receive.
Yeah. Just
And
listen.
Just receive, and then instead of trying to organize, just give.
Yeah.
Now think about that in terms of, I better figure out the plan, and what am I gonna do about Joan, and how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna get that done? How am I gonna manage that? Where you go, whoop, stop, receive, give.
Hey, I have
Receive, give.
a new thought.
Yeah.
And I just received it. Because when I said receiving, listening, I thought, no, it's more than that. It's receiving from each other. So I'd like to ask the people on this call, whatever you want to call it, what you would like to see us do next year. We're so open. That was the content of our conversation this morning.
Yeah.
Like, Holy Spirit, what's up next? We want to continue to work together, and we want to work with the Course in Miracles. So,
And with Edenshire.
and we would love to work with Edenshire. We love this.
Yeah.
So if you have some thoughts about what you'd like to have us do, let us know. You can put it in the chat, or you can send it to me.
We'll put your email in there. How's that?
Yeah.
And then they can just send whatever they want. But that's the whole idea. The word communication means commune. It means community. Communication means you're not just coming from your private world.
Yeah.
You're communing with another person. And these lessons are saying you can commune with all of creation.
That's the most
throughout
amazing
all
thing.
of time. You can commune with that. Whether it was 1 billion centuries ago or whatever it was, that love you can communicate with. And it can apply to the specific situation.
It can heal us from any kind of pain we have.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a really big idea. And again,
It
it's
sure is.
slowly, day to moment to moment, gently, we begin to change our minds.
Yeah.
Not through fear or anxiety, but a very gentle process where he's saying, if you really look at these hidden warriors, these hidden attractions to guilt and to fear, when you really look at them, you'll say to yourself, why was I ever attracted to that?
Yeah.
When he says we bring them up to a conscious state, we will definitely let go of ego thoughts.
Right.
It's only because they seem to be hidden
Right.
and seem to be operating.
And they seem to be in the world coming at us.
Right.
Or in another person. And they're not. They're in the one self. Love is one.
Let's talk about that before we go on this.
What is the last
what
judgment?
is the last judgment?
Okay.
Because he talks about this idea that, all right, so if I'm thinking with the ego, that's incorrect thinking. I see the attachment to guilt. I see the attachment to fear, anger, all that stuff. So what I want to do is I want to correct that thinking. I want to think with love, right? So in this, what is the second coming?
No, what is the last
I
judgment?
mean, what is the last judgment? He says in there that this is about correcting those very specific incidents in your life that now are concrete in your mind. The fear, the anger, whatever that is.
It, and when it becomes concrete, like she said that to me and that hurt. That's the concretion that the ego makes.
Right. So we're always saying, don't let, you're projecting on the world, but you've hidden that, and now it seems as though the world is making you think that, or even your body is making.
Yeah.
And here's what it's saying in the Last Judgment: recognize that the direction of perception, right, which way it's going is it's always going from here out. Always, it's going from here out. But here's what it says then, is that when you recognize that, at first, here's what it says, at first you see a world, not just you see a world that has accepted this as true. You see a world that's accepted this true, projected now from a corrected mind. So the Course is saying projection makes perception, but now you can use perception to extend this miracle, this forgiveness that I received here out to the very world.
Right.
And therefore, now when I go through time and space, every situation, particular, I can, from my corrected mind, I'm going, no, I'm thinking with the Holy Spirit, not the ego. I'm thinking with love, not with guilt. You project that onto the world and to all the people.
Yeah.
So you're not getting rid of perception. Eventually perception goes, but you're using perception in a new way.
Right.
Where it's not just about your healing.
And yet it is our healing.
Well, it comes first to our healing.
Yeah.
And now we're sharing that with everything. Right?
Yeah.
From now a corrected mind. And with this holy site, once that's all that we're doing is offering love and forgiveness, then perception ends and we're back in knowledge.
Yeah.
But we've got to clean it up here.
Yeah. We have to go. The Course's story is heaven exists, you're still in heaven, but you don't know that. You made like an avatar, a virtual reality, and we think that this is the truth, that perception is the truth. So to get back to what's real, we have to recognize false perception, call it false, and accept true perception.
Right.
And we're still going to be in the world. So, Eden is a place. It's a garden. It's a state of being. It's a state of mind where you still see a world. You still see other people. You still walk around with a body. But it's a happy state.
Because only forgiveness is there.
Our only purpose is forgiveness. and miracles.
And you see that not only am I healed, but everything is healed. And I'm specifically, so instead of this, like I defend myself, if I defend myself from attack, so instead of us trying to plan, let me plan, and then I'm going to organize from my plan, we receive and we give. How much simpler is that? Like, I trust there's a miracle here.
Mm-hmm.
I've received it already. It's already in my mind because guess what? I am that one self.
Right.
Wherever that one self experienced and practiced love, that's available to me. Now from a corrected mind, I project it out. Is it 15? Yes, it is. Well, there we go.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Yep, appreciate it.
Blessings to everyone here.